A PLP MP bows out. Police cite 23 individuals over the weekend, and both political parties defend large gatherings. Good evening, everyone. I'm Leah Cooper with your JCN News for this Monday, March 1st. Progressive Liberal Party Member of Parliament for Mangrove Key, South and Central Andros, Paiswell Forbes, who also served as opposition leader of government business in the House of Assembly, bowing out of the political arena gracefully. The MP, just before parliamentarians began debate on the mid-year budget in the lower chamber this morning, told parliamentarians that he was taking his last political breath and his name will never rise again in political cycles. Having represented the constituency for the past 13 years, Mr. Forbes did not give a reason for his decision and says he will not be offering in the next general elections.
It has been the greatest honor of my life representing my hometown in this place, Mr. Speaker. I've learned how to respect the dignity of my struggling communities, and also I witnessed the power of faith and how our collective efforts through engagement and community building initiatives made life a little more manageable for you, my constituency family. The demands were and still are great. I tried my best, many times giving up my personal meager resources to meet constituents' personal commitments or challenges or otherwise, be they healthcare costs, school fees, educational and or rental assistance, or simply paying a light or water bill. It was always done with the general notion, of making life easier for my people in Mangrove Key, South and Central Andros.
Mr. Forbes acknowledges that progress on Mangrove Key and South and Central Andros has not been even evident in some quarters. However, quoting former U.S. President Barack Obama, he says democracy has always been hard, contentious, and sometimes bloody. Now, speaking to the success that has been accomplished for the constituency, Mr. Forbes highlighted that in 2010, there was a $20 million dock constructed in the Fresh Creek area, followed by the installation of the Bishop Mackey dock in Beering Point, as well as the creation of employment opportunities in the public and private sector, among other accomplishments.
But, Mr. Speaker, it would not be my good fortune to be around with my friend, who would have assisted so greatly, the member for Carmichael and Deputy Prime Minister, to see the opening of the $8 million plus gymnasium in South Andros. I would only wish I could have been there to maybe turn the spigot for the $13 million potable water system in South Andros, or to see through the completion of the dock work that I saw so proudly just last week as I sat on the dock in Lisbon Creek Harbor and saw the barge bringing in all the supplies into Mangrove Key, or to see the clinic in Mangrove Key and the subdivision work completed. For all of the efforts made, though, it was not enough. My people are still highly disadvantaged, and what's more crippling than ever is the level of cynicism and polarization in our local politics.
The Mangrove Key and South and Central Andros MP contends that his work is done politically and says it is his sincerest hope that as a fledgling society, law would be upheld against discrimination, particularly in social welfare, education, and the criminal justice system. Mr. Forbes adds that hearts must change, and it starts in the House of Assembly with politicians. Before taking his seat, he thanked dozens of individuals, including his wife and daughter, his mother, and the PLP leader for affording him the opportunity to serve as opposition leader of government business in the House and deputy leader, along with other PLP colleagues and the constituents of Mangrove Key and South and Central Andros. He encouraged parliamentarians to continue to be unselfish and patriotic. Meantime, House Speaker Halson Moultrie offering words of encouragement to Mr. Forbes following his announcement of the decision to depart politics. Speaker Moultrie noting that it was a sad day for him. He says to Mr. Forbes that he knows it has not been easy but challenging. Quoting from Ephesians 6:10, he encouraged the MP to be strong.
Honorable Member for Mangrove Key, South and Central Andros, I wish you all the best in your endeavors. senior man in this place, you have made many friends. And I'm certain that even as you leave, those who may remain will come to your rescue in your time of need. I speak that prayer over you this morning.
On his rising to begin the debate on the mid-year budget, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis also spoke to the MP's imminent departure, adding that he too was saddened by the MP's announcement, while he says the MP has made great contributions in Parliament and represented his constituents well.
The member speaks, Mr. Speaker. It reminds me, and I'm sure many others, that he speaks with great passion and emotion on behalf of his constituency. Right. And he is very familiar, not only by face, but by name, with every member in his constituency. That is unheard of, and there are very few who have such talent and such camaraderie and closeness with their constituents. I only want to say to the member that he would be greatly missed, but many will remember his presentations and the way he represented his constituency, and be assured that whenever election is called, whomever we send there will follow in your footsteps.
Mr. Forbes left shortly after to a standing ovation by all House members. In other news from Parliament, a 3-year plan presented in the House this morning by Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. Hubert Minnis. The plan to restructure public finances and stimulate economic growth. Leading off debate in the mid-year budget, Dr. Minnis says it is a forward-looking 3-year plan. It is a clear and credible plan, and it is a plan that meets the opportunities and challenges of governance today and into the future. Just last week, the Prime Minister tabled a communication on the mid-year budget, which he said at the time provided an update on the Resilient Bahamas macroeconomic plan that was presented at the time of the budget debate last June. He says it was carefully designed to achieve 3 objectives. 1, to support the social needs and well-being of Bahamians feeling the weight of the pandemic. 2, to maintain economic stability in the middle of the crisis. And 3, to plant the seeds for accelerated recovery.
It was a plan that instilled confidence in the Bahamian people at the time. It is a plan that has since saved lives, protected public and private sector jobs, delivered millions in relief to vulnerable families, communities, and businesses, and kept the economy afloat despite the most severe economic calamity we have faced in our modern history.
The Prime Minister says the 2020 fiscal strategy includes 4 key focal areas over the next 3 years, including taking care of Bahamians, putting finances in order, growing the economy, and being vigilant. As he says, the plan calls for the government to stay sharp and to plan ahead to manage various risks. He says the government is fighting for Bahamian jobs and Bahamian businesses, fighting for economic recovery and economic growth. The Prime Minister also delivering some good news to the younger generation this morning as he announced a major price reduction on the service lots in the Carmichael Village subdivision. The new subdivision, located west of Lazaretto Street, is expected to accommodate single and multifamily housing, while additional lots have been slated for parks and other common areas for residents. He says as much while contributing to the mid-year budget debate at the House of Assembly this morning.
We have started already with the service lots program, most recently in Carmichael. And there in the Carmichael area, Mr. Speaker, lots that would be appraised. Today I am pleased to advise that through a PPP arrangement, we will be soon launching the the commencement of a 150 lot subdivision upscale within the western New Providence area that will be geared strictly to young professionals, young Bahamians, young millennials.
Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis also had this announcement to make.
Today I am pleased to advise that through a PPP arrangement, we will be soon launching the commencement of a 150 lot subdivision upscale within the western New Providence area that will be geared strictly to young professionals, young Bahamians, young millennials.
Dr. Minnis says that due to the high demand and response to these lots, the government has identified an area in the west and also in the Killarney constituency. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.